Hi everybody, my name is Mike Golding and I'm going to be showing you in this video how to build this music making desk behind me with just DIY tools for under $500. In part one of the video I showed you the overall design and how to cut out the side pieces for our left and right wings, and in this part of the video we're going to be constructing those wings and fixing them together. Okay, so welcome back to our echoey empty studio where we're building the desk. As you can see in the background, I've painted the panels. They needed three coats of white paint on the MDF to cover them. And now the next thing is to put them together. So as you may know, or you should know by now if you've watched the rest of this video, two sides will be held together, and in the middle there will be a rack mounting system. So how wide do they need to be? Well, they need to be a rack mount width wide. 49 centimeters, about 492 millimeters. And you have a little bit of play. This is going to be our work surface across here. And then in here is going to be the rack. So what I need to do is I need to put a bracing bar across the front, bracing bars across the back, probably one in the middle. I've got various pieces of wood. We're going to cut these to 49 in length, and we're going to, once they're cut, use those as bracing bars across there. The front ones, these are the front ones, I had thicker wood, and then the other bracing bars I had at the back, thinner pieces of wood. So I'm going to start, because most of the time on a piece of wood you need to cut these ends off because they've been messed up or whatever. So I'm going to firstly I've marked 51. So this is 51, so I'm going to cut that. And then I'm going to cut 2 centimeters off the end of this to make this nice and square. So that's one. What's important, very important, is obviously they all need to be the same size. So 49 mil, I've gone with 49 mil, 49 centimeters, 490 millimeters. They all need to be the same. I need to cut 2 more pieces, and I'm cutting those 2 pieces with the thinner wood. And here is the thinner wood. The end piece wood, about 55, about 35. The thinner one is wider, 7.5 centimeters, 750 mil, but thinner on this side is just 25 mil, 2.5 centimeters. So for screws, I've got some, actually 1.5 inches, I don't know why they come 1.5 inches, it's like 30 mils, and then some 50 mils. Now I've used these 50s on skate ramps before, and they hold pretty good. Obviously you've got to bear in mind that you've got this much wood to go through the side panels. Because of flexing and stuff, then I'm going to go with these big 50 mils. So I'm going to sit it like that. We're going to put the screws through into there, and there's going to be 2, one there and one behind. Now you want to pre-drill all these holes when you're going through MDF. These actual screws are fairly fat, so you could use a bigger. I'm going to probably go with a bigger one, which is about the size of the thread, slightly smaller. Just slightly smaller than the thread, but that would be enough. This is the end of the desk. This is going to go just here. So again, this is a piece of scrap wood from the end to cut off the end. We just need to know roughly where that piece of wood's going to come, flush with the front, flush with this face and flush with this face. We just make a little mark just so that when we take it away it's easier to see, and then we just need 2 crosses roughly in the middle of both of those, and then we can drill those through. A little tip, don't press too hard when you're on MDF, don't really force it through. No matter what you do with MDF, it will sort of blow out on the other side because it's not proper wood. So don't press too hard when you're drilling through here, because all it does is just really forces it out on the other side. So, countersink. And this is a new bit, so it's sharp, so it actually gets really quickly through. You really don't want it to be too big. So what I'm going to do here is just hold this up to where it needs to go. I just want to get a little mark underneath as to where the hole is. Whoa. When you're on your own, because you haven't got someone else to hold the piece of wood for you, it's probably easier to pre-drill, because then the screw will go in easier. But you only need the thin end, so I'm just going to use this. Just until you can feel this tip come through, no further than that. Take your piece of wood, hold it under. Now ordinarily you'd want a little bit of, maybe you'd want to rest it on the floor or something, but it's quite hard to do. It's even harder to do when you're filming it. So I'm going to hold it there. The pre-drill should allow it to go in. And that allows it to go in fairly well, the pre-drill, the little pilot hole, as it's called. So we just make sure that's twisted slightly when it's got to the end. So we just twist that back and then put it in. Put the second one in. So then we have two. As you can see, that's flush. The countersink has made that flush. And I'm just going to paint over these ends very roughly at the end, so pencil marks and screw holes and whatnot are all a little bit more hidden, but these are not really going to be seen, these ends. But let's do the other one. Okay, so piece number one, piece number two. As you can see, doing this on your own is going to be hard. So I'm going to use the wall and I'm going to put this as flat as I can against the wall, and I'm going to bring this one up to that one and then push against it to screw in. So we need to put this flat. It wants to always fall over, of course. So that's basically as flat as I can get it. We then bring this one over as much as we can, and now I'm going to try to screw this in. Now you can see roughly what I mean. This is where our work surface is going to be. Here, this is where our rack mat's going to be, and that's where your knees obviously come underneath. Here is the rack. Now the rack is going to sit in here like this. So the work surface will come up to here. At the moment, it's too wobbly. So that's where the wider but thinner would come in. It was just what was available at the time. I'm going to put one down here, across here is like flat, and a corresponding one behind it here. So they're exactly the same height. The idea being that I can then put a shelf on here. Relatively low, and I've worked it out to be the bottom part of the piece of wood, 21 centimeters, 210 mil. And that means that the bottom of the piece of wood is going to be there. So from that point onwards, I'm going to mark out the rest. So I'll hold up this piece of wood. I get the bottom as accurate as I can in this awkward position. And then I mark that. We get it flush with the back, as parallel to the back as we can. And make a mark there. Same on the other side. So we can then see roughly where we need to drill our pilot holes. Now be careful when you move this, obviously it's not very stable at the back. If you move one side more than the other, you can rip out these screws at the front, so try to move it together and try not to move it too much at all when we haven't got anything at the back. Go into the top one first, because then because it's going to need to hang slightly. And if you go into the bottom one, it can pull it out a little bit. So it's better to go into the top. So we hold it there as tight as we can, and then we push as hard as we can from the other side. Now I haven't pre-drilled this, so it's going to be a little bit harder to come in. So what I tend to do is take the two rotations in, have a look at it again. And that's just holding it. Obviously we don't want to put any pressure on it. And that's how I tend to leave it, and then come on the other side. And on the other side it's literally, again, you're just getting it in so the tip's in, so it's holding in position. Then you can push the two sides against each other when you screw in, and it's a little bit easier. Now, as you can see, that's not gone all the way in. Now the best thing to do here is to come back out again, close the gap completely, and then do it again, and that actually helps tremendously. So let's take this thing entirely out, because now we've got a hole. We can close the gap now, but this time we have a pre-drilled hole, and it should go all the way in. There you go. So that's now tight. Now all we need to do is put the second screw in, and then we have the stability at the back. As you can see already, it's a little bit more stable. So if you've got I've got a knot here, put that on the back if possible and out of sight. We can just check the marks there, make sure that we're on the right mark. So there you have it, last piece in. As you can see, it's a lot more stable now. By the time I get the rack in here and I screw in the first piece of equipment, I think the stability will come anyway. Okay, so now you can see, now I built the second one, you can now see the rough configuration. Two are going to sit like this, and this is going to be the desk part in between. The desk part in between is just over 1 metre. The whole span from this corner to this corner here is 2 meters 40. The reason for it being 2 meters 40 is because that's the length of the work surface that I can get. Before I connect these up, I just remembered that I need to connect these little feet on. I'm just going to nail them on, because once it's all connected together it won't be movable. I'm just fixing these 5 centimeters away from the back edge and the front edge. So done. As you can see, they're pretty stable now. Once you get a work surface on there, that's not going anywhere. So that concludes part 2 of this video. We've now got 2 side wings. In the next part of this video series, I'm going to show you the most complicated part of the entire build, and that is setting up and cutting the angles for the 2 work surfaces. So if you have any comments, please put them below. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to this channel for more content of the same, and I will see you in the next part of this video.